The MMA world is spinning after one of the wildest weeks of news, leaks, and heated rivalries we've seen in a long time. And right at the center of it all is a bombshell reveal that has fans in disbelief. Khamzat Chimaev, the Chechen superstar known for his relentless grappling and savage intensity, casually admitted in an interview that he had been sparring with none other than Ilia Topuria, the undefeated UFC featherweight champion and one of the sport's most feared strikers. The revelation didn't just stay a throwaway line either. The way Chimaev described the session instantly went viral, with fighters, analysts, and fans alike trying to piece together what went down behind closed doors when two of the UFC's most dangerous men locked horns. Chimaev sat alongside his longtime friend, Russian vlogger Adam Zubarov, and spoke openly about his camp in the UAE. As he was breaking down his dominant win over Robert Whittaker at UFC 308, Chimaev shifted gears and started talking about the main event from that same card, Ilia Topuria's shocking finish of Max Holloway. That's when he casually dropped the nugget that he and Topuria had gone rounds not too long ago while Ilia was visiting their mutual friend Guillaume Cutatlet. According to Khamzat, the sparring was anything but light. He admitted that sometimes he forgets sparring is just training and ends up going full throttle. He said Topuria tried to bring the heat, so he cracked him with some hard shots, took him down, and then with a sly grin refused to elaborate further, saying, "Let's not talk about what I did after that. It's not necessary." The line instantly set social media ablaze. The reactions were split right down the middle. Ilia Topuria's fans argued that Khamzat, who walks around much heavier and fights 2 divisions above, had no business bragging about sparring with a much smaller fighter. Others fired back that if Topuria really did hold his own against someone as big and suffocating as Chimaev, then it only further cements his status as one of the pound-for-pound best. Regardless, the leak has added yet another layer of intrigue to both of their careers, especially as Chimaev awaits the announcement of his first official UFC title defense and Topuria continues to bask in his growing superstardom. But this wasn't the only storyline tearing through the MMA world this week. Over at light heavyweight, the tension between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira has boiled over ahead of UFC 320. Pereira claimed that Ankalaev deliberately avoided crossing paths with him at the UFC Performance Institute, essentially accusing the Dagestani of ducking even an interaction. Ankalaev, never one to let things slide, fired back in brutal fashion. He went straight to Twitter and unloaded on Pereira, calling him a clown, reminding him that he had already dominated him for 5 rounds, and promising that the upcoming rematch would end with Pereira flatline for the 4th time in his combat sports career. Ankalaev said Pereira should be grateful just to get another shot, and that after their fight there would be only one way to the tire shop. For context, Pereira has indeed been knocked out 3 times before, twice in kickboxing, once in MMA when Israel Adesanya landed that perfect counter at UFC 287. But since then Pereira has rebuilt himself, claiming gold at middleweight and then at light heavyweight, becoming a rare 2-division UFC champion. That's what makes this rematch so intense. Ankalaev insists their matchup will always favor him no matter how many times they fight, while Pereira believes he can conjure the kind of brutal knockout magic that has defined his career. The personal edge in their trash talk, combined with their one-apiece rivalry across different contexts, have made UFC 320 feel like one of the most heated cards in years. Meanwhile, bantamweight chaos is brewing. Merab Dvalishvili, the machine-like grappler from Georgia, is set to clash with Corey Sandhagen, and their verbal exchanges are already heating up. Sandhagen warned Merab that promising to stand and bang would be a mistake, but Merab doubled down in an interview with the New York Post. He insisted his striking has leveled up, that is motivated to exchange punches, and that while his wrestling will always be there, he wants to prove he can crack Sandhagen with his hands. Fans and analysts alike are torn. Should Merab risk abandoning the style that has gotten him to the brink of history? He's just 3 takedowns away from landing 100 in the UFC, surpassing even George's St. Pierre. Or should he gamble in search of a knockout? Everyone remembers Belal Muhammad's ill-fated attempt to strike with a striker, which cost him his title. The same trap could await Merab if he strays too far from his bread and butter. Then there's the wild card of Khamzat and Ilia's sparring session. For fans in Georgia, the idea of their countrymen going toe-to-toe with a monster like Chimaev is pure pride fuel. For others, it's a terrifying glimpse into just how reckless and relentless Khamzat can be even in training. "Sometimes I forget I have a fight coming up," he said, describing how he went all out on Ilya. That admission has sparked debates over whether Chimaev's intensity could hurt him long-term. Fighters like Henry Cejudo have often warned about sparring too hard and risking injuries in camp, especially when title fights are on the horizon. Still, Khamzat's willingness to push even in the gym is part of what makes him such a captivating figure. Elsewhere on the UFC 320 card, Carlos Ulberg and Dominic Reyes are set to collide in what many believe could be a title eliminator. Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo broke down the matchup in detail, pointing out that Ulberg's style mirrors that of his teammate Israel Adesanya, patient, calculated, waiting to break down opponents piece by piece before unleashing precision strikes. But Reyes, once thought to be finished after a brutal four-fight losing streak, has resurrected his career with 3 straight knockouts. His resilience has been nothing short of stunning, especially after devastating losses to the likes of Yuri Prochaska, when many thought his career might be over entirely. Now, Reyes stands 1 win away from a potential title shot, and defeating a surging contender like Ulberg would cap one of the greatest comebacks in UFC history. Cejudo was quick to remind everyone of Reyes' wrestling background, something often overlooked because of his highlight reel knockouts. He argued that if Reyes brings that tool back into his game, it could give Ulberg serious problems. Usman, on the other hand, marveled at Reyes' ability to fight moving backward, calling it one of his greatest strengths. But the looming presence of Ankalaev and Pereira at the top makes this fight all the more important. If Pereira retains, a trilogy may be on the horizon. If Ankalaev wins, fresh contenders will be needed immediately, and either Ulberg or Reyes could be next in line. The MMA community has been buzzing non-stop, from Chimaev's leaked sparring session to the escalating Pereira-Ankalaev beef, from Merab's bold stand-up promises to Reyes' miraculous resurgence. Every storyline feeds into the same truth. The UFC is in one of its most electric eras ever. Fans aren't just watching fights. They're watching personalities, legacies, and national pride collide. And at the heart of it all, 2 names keep surfacing: Khamzat Chimaev and Ilia Topuria. Their paths may be separate divisions apart, but the mere idea of them throwing down in the gym has captivated the sport. Khamzat, the immovable force, who mauls welterweights and middleweights alike, and Ilia, the unstoppable striker who has carved through featherweights and even lightweight legends. Their sparring session was just training, but for fans, it's a glimpse of a dream matchup that could one day happen under the bright lights. Until then, it remains a story told in hushed tones, in viral tweets, in fan-made highlight reels, a legend born not in the octagon, but in the secrecy of a gym. From the title picture at light heavyweight to history being chased at bantamweight, from unexpected comebacks to leaked sparring wars, UFC 320 has been elevated into one of the most anticipated events of the year. And as fighters trade barbs and promises, one truth stands out above all: